into it. Welcome to the weekly Wednesday training. Today we have a special guest, and just briefly before I introduce her, if you're watching on Facebook, give us a wave, let us know you're here. If you're watching the video later, go ahead and hit #replay so we can follow up with you on any specific questions that you have about what we discussed today, what we're training on, talking about, etc. If you are watching on Facebook or through the YouTube channel and you want to get in the weekly Wednesday Zoom sessions, please send a message to me or Janessa and we will make sure to get you that invite. Yes, you can always watch the streams or you can watch the replays, and we want you to do that. But if you can be here live for the conversation, it's just a little bit more fun. Okay, I'm hearing an echo of myself, so I'm just going to mute everyone else. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to unmute. But if you're not talking, I just ask you to go on mute because hearing my own voice makes me nuts. So I am so thrilled today to welcome Yvonne Decker. So Yvonne is the founder and CEO of The Signature Image, which is an imaging management firm. And so let me just give you a warm welcome. You're actually the first guest that we've ever had on a weekly Wednesday training. And I love this. I love bringing in other incredible people that can help us look at leadership in different ways. And Yvonne, I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So let's just start with, what is an imaging management firm? What do you do? Talk to me about what you talk with people about and, you know, what you think it means to show up powerfully.
Okay. Well, I am an image consultant and I have 25 years of experience helping people be their best, feel their best, and look their best. You know, in the professional work environment, it's more competitive today than ever. And so while image shouldn't matter, it does, you know.
Yeah, it really does. And I think you told me something like it takes, you know, a matter of split seconds, you know, maybe
Yes.
2 seconds max for somebody to decide whether or not you are professional.
Yes, yes. And it's really unfortunate, you know, because you can't wear, you know, your degrees and your years of experience and all of these things. And so when people see you, the only thing they have to go on is your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's that first impression? What is the visual impact you are making when you meet someone? Now, the reason this is important is because people make some very harsh judgments about people based on how they look.
Yeah.
They determine your educational level, your economic level. They determine, you know, your social, economic level, just all kinds of things that people determine just by what they see. So they end up judging the book by its cover.
Right. And unfortunately, I think we humans all do that somewhat naturally. And then it's compounded by society and a lot of the crap and baggage that we are hopefully starting to shed, but that is still there. And so let's just say, and I don't know how many people are actually going through this, but if you were to be having an in-person interview or at least an on-camera interview, say you were interviewing for new jobs and you weren't actually going in person, but you were to be on camera, do you have any recommendations for how people would be, or how women in particular could show up more powerfully on camera, either for interviews or even for presentations? Maybe you're meeting some new senior leaders for the first time. How do you position yourself? Let's stick with on camera and then we can add on whatever more you would do in person. How would you recommend people, you know, do that? Women.
Yes. So again, you know, I would say, you know, your visual impact, that vision of yourself is what people are going to see first. So I deal with the ABCs of image. That's your appearance, your business behaviors, and communication, nonverbal and verbal communication. And so you want to show up powerfully, first of all, by looking powerful,
Mhm.
by showing up in your power outfit. And that also depends on who you are. So my business is called The Signature Image. That means that I make your image as personal as your signature. So that image applies to you and who you are and your lifestyle and what you do.
What you do. Yeah. So I have a confession to make, and then I'm going to ask the ladies if anybody else has similar experiences. But I grew up, right, as many of us did. If you close your eyes and you think like of powerful leaders, or of powerful industry leaders, or powerful corporate leaders, unfortunately, most of us are going to think about white men. Just that's the image that comes to mind first, right? Because there are a myriad of reasons why, and we're hoping and we are working and we're actively changing that, right? Because it's bullshit. Let's just call bullshit on it. That being said, as I was like trying to grow my own leadership, my default like power outfit was a black or navy gray business suit and heels. I loved heels, but I was boring like that. And not even the skirt, like I always preferred the pants. And so that is still for me, perhaps one of the outfits in which I feel most powerful. I own, to be clear, I own none of them now. Like I will not wear black or gray or blue pantsuits anymore. But that was really what I felt most comfortable in. Like when I would go to bid defenses and lead teams through that was my power outfit. And what would you say to somebody that says that was what I adopted because society made me think that was what I needed, but really I needed something different and I'm finding my own style now?
Unfortunately, again, that shouldn't matter, but it does.
Mhm.
And it depends on the industry that you're in. So let me give you one of my examples I like to try. So we'll use women as an example. I could use a man who is wearing a three-piece suit, and he looks like a banker. Okay. And because typically people in the financial field want to look successful and as if they're trustworthy. And then you have a person sitting next to him, the male, and he is dressed like a homeless person. So I asked you, which one is the banker?
And I choose the one in the suit, right? Yeah, everybody pretty much would, unless they say there's a catch here.
Right, exactly. Now, so would the homeless person be approachable?
Be approachable?
Right. Would you approach him as a banker?
Probably not, right?
Probably not. So, and that is strictly being based on how he looks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say you do need to put together some type of power outfit
Mm-hmm.
that's comfortable for you, but that shows you mean business. So it's not just the appearance, but it would also be the behavior that goes along with that, because your appearance, your behavior, and your communication all have to be congruent in order to be believable.
Yeah.
So that's a roundabout way of answering your question, but there does need to be some degree of a power type outfit, whatever that may be.
Yeah. No, so I think what I'm hearing you say, or I'm inferring, is that it has to still look powerful.
Yes.
And it has to make me feel powerful.
Yes.
And I need to embody that behavior. And so I will tell you what I've moved from is the pantsuit to honestly jeans, a nice top, and a blazer. I still love the jacket, right? For me,
Yes.
that's just what I love, and heels. And I'll wear that to conferences and to interviews, and yeah. And so I think that was my modification of it that is more me. And, I was not in the banking field, but I still had clients and needed to impress clients. And so I'd like to take a minute and just ask the women around us if anybody feels like they had adopted any sort of power suit, and whether or not you at any time felt you outgrew or just wanted to change up your power suit, whatever that may be.
This is Erica. Yes, I have adopted a power suit several times over, but realized that, in certain situations, I don't necessarily have to have my security blanket, which is my jacket, and versus, wearing a really pretty blouse with nice slacks and heels, you can still look professional and put together without necessarily having to wear, the black coat or whatnot, or blazer. So I believe I'm also growing in my style, as I'm having more meetings, and I think getting comfortable in my own skin and just, being confident with how I speak and, maybe the content that I'm covering too. I think it is more mental, right? Maybe if I wasn't as confident, that's when I was grabbing those outfits to just, make me feel better. Another thing I thought, I would share initially, and it's funny because I actually do wear glasses now and I have to, but there was a period in my career that I believed wearing glasses made me look smarter, actually. And people actually said, you look older, you look smarter. And then I ended up almost having a little bit of PTSD around, oh my gosh, if I don't wear my glasses and I don't look smart, and I don't look, as old as I maybe am. And now I just wear them because I have to, but I mean, it was really a crutch where I was, forced to, in my mind, wear glasses just because of how I was perceived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And just even the comment about it being a security blanket, I totally feel that these are a security blanket for me. Like, I'll wear a radical t-shirt even sometimes, but I want my jacket on.
Right.
So, yeah, no, I love it. Gaynor, what about you? What are you thinking?
Firstly, I wanted to apologize for the background. I'm in England at the moment. It's pitch black. It's a house that I'm doing up, so there's no light in here. I'm ever so sorry. And also a compliment on the beautiful background. So I love this purple jacket with the purple accessories. I just want to know, to copy it, is that a made-up background or is that your real background?
It's a real background. Yeah, that's great. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so not only am I looking at this beautiful presentation, you've got the background as well. That is amazing. For myself, I've got to the age now, I'm 55, and I'm hot all the time. So I have to be careful what I wear. So recently I did a one-day workshop, an hour and a half away, and I was running the show. It was my day, I was presenting, and I turned up, dressed up. I'd got a jacket on, so I was hot, and obviously you sweat. And then the other, like, more senior people came in, and I must say, a little bit scruffy.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, okay. And then in the meeting, everything was all right. I gave a good meeting, but it was the body language in the meeting that something didn't fit. And then one of the seniors kind of put a feet on another chair, laid to the side, and was texting. And I thought, oh, I've lost the concentration here. I knew I had. And there was some feedback after that, they didn't think the presentation was believable. It was something like that. And I thought, gosh, when you said there about appearance, behavior, communication, that's kind of the reason I'm on this course. So Tara's teaching me these skills. So it's not only what you wear, and believe me, I am quite a glamorous woman. I don't usually look this pale, but Tara's known me 10 years. She knows what I'm like. It's
You
always
look beautiful.
thank you. It's always the full glam, but it's the age now. It's the hotter. I can't. I'm in a dress. I'll show you my dress. So it's a nice dress. It's, you know, I always dress like this. And my mom always mentions, why do you wear a dress? I feel comfortable in that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's just my comment.
No, it's a really important comment because first off, you need to be comfortable. And as we change, right, as women and our bodies change, like big time, right? I mean, I, for months, had to hide pregnancies because actually I wasn't even supposed to tell my boss that I was pregnant. It was ridiculous, right? And then when I was really pregnant, I was just kind of out there. But, you know, even at postpartum, like I remember nursing bras and traveling while pumping and carrying all of that. And then hormones change, we change. Let's make it more normal to talk about this junk and how that
Yes.
affects us and what we wear. So do you have any advice for people that want to be cooler for whatever reason when they are dressing professionally?
You know, one thing that I suggest is to dress in layers, because you never know if it's going to be hot or cold. You know, the air conditioning could be blowing. So I would always have something that I could put on that I could be warm. And, you know, that sort of rolls into business behaviors in a sense, because when you're speaking and you're looking out in your audience and you see someone who's, you know, doing this, are they bored? Are they cold? You know, you're trying to assess the situation so that you can.
Right? Like, at least I had my shoes off, but no. Like when you saw that in your meeting, Gaynor, what did you think? Were you?
Well, it was the first time I'd met, and she was the head of the department. And like I said, she'd walked it to the venue. So she was red hot. She was sweating. She was in like a polo shirt, not management at all. And I thought, wow, you know, I just got the wrong feeling. And there's more to tell you about that.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, offline. But it was just, I am a big believer in like one of the girls, acrylic nails. I mean, like out there, and I'm just like, oh no, you know, just little things like that. I wear my nude color, and so yeah. But you're right, image is everything.
Well, and that's where, right, we may make snap judgments. And so, Yvonne, you know, you talked about layers, which I think is really important. And one key thing that I often have to remember with layers is, would I be comfortable taking this off? Like if this were a spaghetti strap, right, I wouldn't want to take off my jacket. So that would not be something I would put underneath. So being conscientious of what layers you have and that you would be comfortable being in a business environment in any of those layers, right? And then to the behavior, you know, I guess maybe a question would be, and maybe we can riff off of this, what do we do when it's a senior level person or honestly anybody, and we're seeing a behavior in a meeting that we're like, that's an indicator of something? And do I do something about it in this situation, or do I hold on it and just take it as information?
That's a good question, because I have had people in my trainings, because I do corporate training as well. And I've had people who were, their behavior was not appropriate for the meeting. And so there are times when, depending on the group, because sometimes I speak to young people, I may point it out right then and there. But if it's someone else, higher level, I may talk to them later, because it really is not giving a very good impression to the employees who are also at the meeting. If you're not interested, then what message is that really sending them?
Right. Yeah, we lead by example, of course, right? For the more senior level people. And let's also be honest about our workforce, because we or perhaps I think this is unprecedented times in the sense that we've got 5 different generations in the workforce. And so that's a lot of people and perceptions to either manage or to be cognizant that we are just one of the 5 generations and we probably have some preconceived notions that others don't have, or others may have preconceived notions that we don't have. So that also, I think, feeds into how we see people and maybe recognize that we're going to jump to some judgments, but then scale back and stay curious.
Yes, yes, I agree with that. I love that because, as an image consultant, I try to get to know people first. And of course, I have my moments when I'm out and about and I make a snap judgment about someone. But, unless you are approachable and you look like a quality person and trustworthy, you are robbing people of the opportunity to know the dynamic, beautiful person that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because, really people are going to look at you and they're going to decide whether they like you or not,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're going to do business with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have to decide what's important to us. I did a seminar with women once, and one of the women wore, it was back when they used to wear running suits, the jogging jacket and the pants. She wore that to work and tennis shoes every day. I mean, it was a professional environment, corporate. And she said, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, it was a 2-day seminar. And she said, I'm just going to tell you right off the bat that I am not changing my outfit. I said, okay. So we went through the training and I explained the importance of image and what is really involved in that, the art and science of image. And by the end of our 2-day training, she said, I have to hand it to you. I am going to change the way that I look.
That's an amazing story. That is
Yes.
great. Was there any one thing that really put her over the edge there, or do you think it was just the culmination of all of the information?
It was a culmination, but she understood that as a professional, that it was important for her to put forth that, best effort.
Mm-hmm.
That was important to do.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah.
Great.
And I have one other thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of women showing up powerful.
Yeah.
I am passionate about helping women look their best and having a seat at the table where they can be heard, where they can get the respect in the workplace that they deserve. I had a client and she was promoted from an administrative position to a director. So it was quite a jump. And now she is the leader over mostly a group of men. And they would make fun of her. They wouldn't listen. They made her cry. She would go in the bathroom. And she heard me speak somewhere and she hired me to help. So the first thing, her name was Chrissy. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And her outfits were sort of, she wore a couple of little barrettes and her name was Chrissy and she sort of dressed like that. So I asked her, I said, is that your real name? And she said, it's Christy. I said, from now on, you're Christy. And I said, from now on, I said, remove the bows and, you know, wear your beautiful blonde hair. And, and I don't want you to go in the bathroom and cry anymore, because you don't have to prove anything to these people. You have been made the leader, but you can get the respect that you deserve. And so we shopped and we, you know, did all these things. And I went through the importance of image and all of that, and behaviors and communication. And she was transformed into this beautiful executive woman. So I remember one outfit was like a red jacket, you know, that she had, and not a full matching outfit, but a different color bottoms.
Mhm.
And it's, I mean, the confidence that she had, it was just, it just poured out of her. And I was so proud of the work that she did. She showed up powerfully.
That is
Not,
awesome.
yeah, not just in her appearance, but in
Right.
speaking and
Mhm.
behavior, you know.
Yeah, it's so interesting what you, as you were talking about this, it was just reminding me of Amy Cuddy and her TED talk on, I can't remember specifically what it is, but I'll look for it and we'll drop a link in the Facebook group. But it is, she basically, she's, I believe she's at Harvard. She's a behavioral researcher, but she talks about how when you stand and when you put your shoulders back, if you drape your arm over a chair, right? You actually activate receptors and neurotransmitters in your brain that make you more confident. So power, I think power posing is what she talks
Yes.
about. And so I think as well, and I mean, of course, I'm not a neuroscientist. I would love to be, but I don't have that background. But like, I would imagine that when we put on things that make us feel powerful, things that we're comfortable in also, but that make us feel powerful, we have a similar neurochemical change in our brain.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know how it is when you put on something that you feel great in, all of a sudden you stand taller,
Totally.
you know, you have this confidence, and you know, and the thing is that, you know, when somebody is lacking confidence, it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing, you know what I mean? They're just not feeling comfortable, but you know, it's just a mindset thing that we need to, you know, deal with to be more confident within ourselves, as well as pulling from our appearance.
Very much
That
so.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, very much so. And to your point, you know, people are going to make snap judgments. And just because somebody does not show up confidently doesn't mean they don't know their stuff, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to convince everybody that they know their stuff. And in the same way, there are people that show up super confident that are full of BS, right? Like,
Yes.
let's just be completely honest about
Yes,
that.
exactly.
And for us as women in leadership and growing in our leadership and continuing to expand not only ourselves, but growing others, elevating others, it's important for us to be cognizant of this, to talk about this, and to think about both how we're showing up and perhaps how, as we're elevating others, we can help them to show up. And so I think to your point of, you know, being confident, owning your name or your full name or whatever. I mean, it's almost like in your explanation and recounting of Chrissy, she took on a different persona. And that can be really powerful. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's how we fake it till we make it.
Yes,
Or we've already made it, right?
Yes, yes. And you know, and I think the persona that she had was more of a little girl.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that could bring on a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
You know, just in how you're appearing,
Mhm.
because you're giving that impression to these subordinates that you're immature, you're young, you don't deserve this.
Mhm.
But when Christine
Showed
came
up.
to the office,
Yes. I
it
love
was
it.
a different story.
I love it. I think that's phenomenal. I love it. Yeah. And Erica, this sort of goes to the glasses thing. I get that. And, I'm now past the age where I don't have to pretend I'm older, but for a long time I did have to pretend I was older, even just in my mindset. And now I'm at that age where it's like, nope, here I am, middle-aged. and it's sort of freeing to do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I also agree with you on that. And I've tried to get out of the habit too of telling people how old I am, because that's another thing too. I feel like they look at you and say, oh, you're so young, but then you're really in your 40s and they go, gosh, I can't believe you're the age you are. And it's really silly to have to feel like you have to explain how old you are to people. So yeah, no, I appreciate you doing that.
It can also give us some compassion for the younger generations that we're seeing come in.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
just because they're young, like that doesn't mean they don't know their stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. I wanted to talk about that for a moment, what Erica said about glasses. Once I was doing a program with young people and I showed pictures of various images. And I had one of a person in glasses. I had a guy who was dressed as a jock. I had a picture of a woman in a beautiful gown that had a slit up the side. And I had, so the person with the glasses, they said was a teacher. And the guy who was dressed in the athletic wear, they thought he was a basketball player or something like that. And the woman, they thought she was glamorous. They thought she was maybe a model. And none of those were right.
Right, so you put up the pictures and asked them what their job was and
Yes.
saw what came up. Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
So there again, and the young people said, a couple of them said to me, you tricked us. Because and I told them, no, I didn't trick you. I am explaining to you that you judge people based on what you see, and we can't help it.
Mhm.
And it's something that we do naturally. So if you want people to have you can create your very own effective first impression.
Mhm. Yeah. I love
Based
that.
on the congruency of the ABC,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
For example, and I love the idea of the jeans and the jacket, because I tell people, even if you're wearing jeans, if you throw on a jacket, it gives a sense of professionalism. But, there are different ways you can wear jackets.
Mhm.
There are, the unstructured jackets. There are sweater jackets. There are different ways that you can get that effect of looking professional without it being on the level of, C-suite.
Mhm. Or the previous level of C-suite. I would like us even to be saying that that's not the way that C-suites dress anymore. And I think in time that's going to happen. In the
Yes.
same way that when we close our eyes and envision a powerful leader, the first thing that comes to mind is not what we have historically seen, right?
Yes.
I think we're changing that.
So, well, we're behind a bit. We're behind because we still base it on what we see. So,
Yeah.
but I agree with you. We need to start really changing that point of view.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about, it's kind of like meeting etiquette, how you show up. So in one of the meetings I was in, fruit was laid out on the table, which was lovely. I was hosting the meeting and I was a little bit later on hungry and people were dipping in the food. Somebody knocked over the water jug, things like that. Someone was laid back chomping an apple while I was speaking. So how would you advise to be eating food in a meeting environment? Are there any tips?
Oh boy. Yeah.
And we all have our pet peeves about this,
Yes.
right? I'm sure.
I mean, as you were saying that, I'm thinking about being in the movie theater and somebody's chewing popcorn with their mouth open, you know.
Yeah.
It's very upsetting. I would lay ground rules at the very beginning. I would let people know, turn your cell phone on vibrate. Please eat quietly. I would just figure out what those ground rules are, and I would just lay them out right at the beginning so that people are conscious and aware, because it's distracting
Yeah.
and it's not fair to the speaker that, and you're there to train. And if they're not taking it all in, it comes back to you that, oh, well, I didn't learn anything. Well, that wasn't your fault. That it's the fault of the people who are just being rude. But yeah, I would say lay out some ground rules.
Well, I did actually do that because Tara taught me that method. So, but I forgot to mention anything about food. And, it was going on around the table, and then we all went out for a lunch, a walk, which was nice. We came back, and obviously there were smells in the room and things like that, but it was just a question probably on behavior with eating, because we all, like Tara said, we all have our pet peeves. Like, I wouldn't put an apple core down then on the table. It would gross me out. It was things like that that was happening. And like,
Yeah. So one thing that I love is that you had laid ground rules for the meeting, but maybe not all of the ground rules that now you might add in, like phones on silent. When we're eating, yes, we might have a working session while we're eating, or there might be snacks. Just try and keep the distractions to a minimum. You now know, because you're experienced more in facilitating these meetings, that there are more ground rules you're going to add, right? And this goes to the fact that this, like anything, is a practice, right? We do what we think is right. It's not 100% there because we're all growing, we're all learning. You incorporate something new, you try it again. And, it doesn't mean that somebody rude isn't still going to be rude, right, but at least you've set the expectations and you've refined what your expectations are through experience.
Yes, exactly. That's true. And, most people will abide by what you ask them to do. And, that one person is going to be the person, in the meeting who's annoying.
yeah.
Yeah. And everyone else is going to know it too.
Yes, exactly. And they're going to be giving him or her the look.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thanks, Gaynor. Are there any other questions for Yvonne today? All right, Yvonne, where can people find you to get more great stuff from the signature image and you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook, Yvonne Decker, and you can find me on Instagram at the signature image.
Great. No, thank you so much for talking with us today. Thank you for your glorious background and just showing up so powerfully and beautifully and showing us how it can be done. I know that as women, we want to be ourselves, but we also want to advance ourselves. We want to be taken seriously. And the things that Yvonne shares, the ABCs, I love it. The attire, the business behavior, the communication, these are all things that we can continue to grow in. And so thank you again so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all. If you're watching later, again, hit #replay. Next week, we are doing a session on mindset and specifically visualization and the power of visualization. So if you don't already have the Zoom invite and you want it, please reach out to Janessa and I and get it. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.